Welcome back to MVM. Today we have a kind of a Kickstarter preview. This one is for Vindication's expansion, which is now live on their Kickstarter along with the base game. We've done a review for Vindication, but we're going to be focusing today on just this expansion because we've played the base game quite a bit and we're excited to get this one played now.
And also, I'm sure you guys want to know what's new with the expansion, so we're going to walk you through all the different new things that you're going to be getting. The first thing that you're going to notice above the top of the board is the new guild leaders. Now, there are 5 that represent the different player colors, and there's an additional 6th one. At the start of the game, each of the players is going to start on their particular color. All of these guild leaders are going to give you something special when you give attributes up to them.
Yeah, the juiciest thing on these guys are these guild perks, as you can see right here below their portrait. These are going to be things you're going to be spending some of your guild favor on, or rapport rather, to use these perks on your turn. The way it works is you're going to be able to interact with these guys one of 3 different ways on your turn. The first one of which is to gain rapport. Like Jeremy said, you're going to start with a little bit rapport on your associated guild leader, but at any time you're going to have a couple more components. Now, we're just using these player color cubes right now, but they're actually going to have these little shields in your player color to put on these. You're going to get 3 of those. So at any time on your turn, if you choose to gain rapport, you're going to trade in attributes in order to raise your favor or rapport with these particular guild leaders. You can trade in any of the base attributes to move up 1, or you can trade up any of the secondary attributes to move up 2. And you can do this as much as you want, but you can only do one of these 3 different things with the guild leaders.
Instead of doing that, you can also spend some of that rapport on a guild leader in which you have some favor with. If I have favor on this particular guild leader, I can give that up on my turn instead of giving favor or rapport to him. Now you're going to notice at the bottom here, there's going to be 2 different things that you can do. There's kind of a smaller power where you're giving up 1 rapport, and then a larger power where you're giving up 2 rapport. And you're simply going to knock those down on these spaces if you have the rapport with that particular guild leader. This one, for instance, is pretty unique. The first thing, just simply by moving down 1 rapport, you're allowed to place one of your markers on any of the super rare attributes, which is really hard to get normally in the game. Here, you can just do it for a single rapport. Now, his other one, which is his more difficult thing to do by moving it down twice, allows you to do something in the game that you typically can't do, and that's to remove control of a region in which other player has. So you can actually start messing with other players with this guy.
Yeah, even if it's fortified, because in the base game, if you're using one of the expansions, you can actually fortify those regions. No one's taking that. But this guy will let you change that. There's some other pretty powerful abilities or perks on these leaders, and it really evidences, in my opinion, what they do to try to adjust for player feedback.
Yeah.
Because they've gotten a lot of feedback from the base game already, and you can see in this expansion they're trying to react to some of that. This guy, for example, his extra powerful ability is to dismiss any companion in the game. So there's some companions in the game that you get out on the board and you're like, man, that guy is rough. He's a little powerful. You can use this guy to just say goodbye.
Yeah.
And he's taken out of the game. So these are going to introduce probably a little bit more take that. A lot of people are going to like that. I think even people who don't are going to like it so that they can react to someone who might get a really powerful engine going for sure.
There's actually one more thing that you can do with these guild leaders as well, and that's to initiate alliance by using 2 of them together.
Yeah, the alliances are pretty cool. That rapport that we were talking about, as you can see on these boards, once you get to certain levels, there's going to be point values. These are not end of game point values. What you're going to do is initiate an alliance on your turn. And remember, you can't gain rapport and use a perk and initiate an alliance. You have to do one of those things on your turn so you can sort of position yourself and then activate this. But when you initiate your alliance, you're going to choose any 2 of the leaders on which you have rapport, and then you're going to move those rapport up into one of these 2 spots here above their portrait, and then you're going to gain the combined points of those 2 leaders at that time. So you effectively are taking 2 of your shield tokens out of play. So now you only have 1 shield token to play with for the rest of the game, but you might score as many as 20 points if you've reached the top. And of course, you haven't spent those on perks necessarily either. So there's an interesting dynamic there.
So those are the guild leaders, and we'll throw some of those up on the screen so you can see some of the other powers as well. The other thing that you can do is have some special abilities now with the Monuments expansion that's already in the base game. Now this is also really unique.
Yeah, the Monuments, Guilds and Monuments expansion in the base game is really just built around 15 points and grabbing those 15 points. Now they've made it a little bit more interesting and again, taken player feedback into account. Because once you build these monuments, you're going to use the monument board as you usually would, fulfilling all of those requirements, getting all of that back, getting your 15 points, but then instead of just moving the statue from your player space onto that board, you're actually going to take it and put it onto the main board, onto a region you control. So say if I control this library, I could put it there. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean that there's just a statue on the board. It means that now nobody can by any means take control of that. So even if you haven't fortified it, even that guy with that nasty little perk that we talked about cannot change your control of that. The other and most important thing is now instead of getting 2 points when someone visits that, you're going to get 4 points. And you're going to get those 4 points at the end of the game as well instead of 2 points. So it effectively doubles the score value of that region and all adjacent regions around that that you also control at the end of the game. So you're going to get 4 points for a lot of different control that you have where you would have only gotten 2 before.
Which was needed. Now add some more variety to what you're doing with your Monuments expansion.
Sure.
And not only is there that, but there's also a promo pack built into the expansion, which is going to be voted on by the people that are kickstarting the project.
Yeah.
So make sure you visit the Kickstarter and give your input about what new cards can also be introduced into the game as well.
Yeah, they've already actually locked down some of the art, but they've done that over the first several days of the campaign, so they're continuing to do that with a number of different cards in that promo pack.
If you guys have any questions about the campaign, make them in the comments below. We will answer those for you. Subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, even follow us now on Instagram.
Yeah.
And everything else that we do, and we will catch you guys next time.
Bye-bye.